So let's start with Chelsea and their pursuit of the World Cup winner Enzo Fernandez. I promised you an update. Dharmesh has it.
Yeah, it appears this is not an easy deal to do between Chelsea and Benfica for Enzo Fernandez. I've been speaking to a contact of mine in Portugal who's got close links to Benfica, and he's telling me this, that no deal yet between Benfica and Chelsea, and no guarantee that there will be a deal in this January transfer window. The noises coming from Portugal suggest that Benfica aren't too enamoured with how Chelsea have approached this, because Benfica know, and everyone else knows, what the release clause is 120 million euros. They want that 120 million euros down, all in, or at least a huge chunk of that release clause to be paid up front. That hasn't happened yet to the satisfaction of Benfica, hence there's been no agreement. And it's thought that Enzo Fernandez, amidst all of this, does want to make the move to Chelsea, which complicates things a bit for Benfica as well, because his head has obviously been turned by Chelsea's interest, to the extent that before their game at Braga, I'm told that Enzo Fernandez actually requested not to play in that game. It was the first game he was going to play since the World Cup final against France back in November. So that was the situation with Enzo Fernandez, that he requested not to play in that game. He ended up playing in that game. I think he played 89 minutes of that game. Benfica ended up losing by 3-0 to Braga. It just sounds like, from all the information that I'm getting, that there's still a lot of work to do before any kind of deal can be agreed between Chelsea and Benfica for Enzo Fernandez.
That's interesting. All right, let's stay with Chelsea. We keep mentioning him. Benoit Badiashile. Any update?
Well, we're just waiting for Chelsea to make the announcement that they've signed him. Should be a £35 million deal. Left-sided centre-back they're getting from Monaco. He's been having his medical. There's no indication that anything's gone wrong in that medical. We're just waiting for an announcement from Chelsea.
All right, so what will that do to the pursuit of Mykhailo Mudryk?
I think, obviously, Arsenal have been trying to sign Mudryk. There's been a difference of opinion about the valuation of the player. Shakhtar Donetsk want around £85 million for him. Arsenal have not offered anywhere near that figure. And that means that other clubs are also interested, because the transfer window is open now. One of those clubs who've held talks about potentially signing him are Chelsea. That doesn't mean that Chelsea are going to sign him, but I suppose it suits Shakhtar Donetsk to have other interested clubs.
Well, how strong is Chelsea's interest then, Kaveh?
Look, he's a very, very good young player. He's got a big future in the game. He is a player that lots of big clubs want to sign. Arsenal have obviously done a lot of work trying to sign him. The player himself, from what Dharmesh has been saying, would like to go to Arsenal. So you would have to say that Arsenal are the favourites at the moment. But we know Chelsea are looking at signing young players. They are looking at spending a lot of money this month, as they did in the summer. But there comes a point when Chelsea cannot spend the money because of financial fair play rules, both in this country and in UEFA.
In the 5 o'clock hour when we discussed this, I made up a word, I'm going to use it again. Arsenal were Rafinha'd in the summer. Is there any danger that they'll try desperately not to have this happen again?
I think this is a different situation, because the information we're getting is that Mudryk's club of choice remains Arsenal. Now, Arsenal remain in talks with Shakhtar Donetsk as they try to come to a compromise on a price that would suit them and which they feel would be realistic. Remember, we've been reporting that Shakhtar's valuation, as Kaveh mentioned there, is around £85 million, because they're comparing Mudryk to the likes of Jack Grealish when he went to Manchester City for £100 million, to Anthony when he moved from Ajax to Manchester United for around £90 million. Whereas I think Arsenal might look at Cody Gakpo, his move from PSV to Liverpool, which was worth in total around £45 million. So that there's a bit of a gap in the valuations between the two clubs. And I think the discussions are continuing to try and find that compromise, because it is clear that Mudryk wants to go to Arsenal. However, Chelsea are not scared to spend the money. Now, if they were to meet this £85 million valuation and Shakhtar accepted that money and Arsenal didn't match that figure, then Mudryk himself would have a decision to make, either stay at Shakhtar or don't go to Arsenal and go to Stamford Bridge and join Chelsea. Now, I know money talks and Shakhtar Donetsk can dictate how much money they can charge for Mykhailo Mudryk, but the will of the player is a strong factor as well. And if he continues to say, I want to go to Arsenal and Arsenal alone, Shakhtar might say, no, you're not going to go anywhere, you're staying with us. Or they might think, Arsenal have come close to our valuation, haven't quite met it, but are we going to get this kind of money again from a club that Mudryk wants to go to? Because he's made it very, very clear in his social media posts in the past couple of weeks. He's been watching Arsenal play in the Premier League against West Ham and against Brighton as well. So it's clear that he wants to go there. It just now remains to be seen whether Arsenal and Shakhtar can come to a compromise on that price.